You're using about 5% of what Claude can actually do, and it's quietly costing you hours every single week. And in the next 16 minutes, I'll show you the exact setup that I'd build if I was starting from zero today. And the one that turns Claude from basically being a chatbot into something that runs your business while you're pretty much sleeping and your laptop's shut. And it's not 20 hacks, and it's definitely not just random clever prompting either. Just a handful of things that actually move the needle. So if you stick with me, because the piece that basically saves the most time is the one that pretty much most of the time people don't have set up. And most people will basically open Claude, they will ask it to write an email, summarize a document, brainstorm a couple of ideas, and then basically just close the tab. It's like buying a Ferrari and only driving it around basically a supermarket car park, for example. So technically you're using it 100%, but you're just missing the part that actually makes it extraordinary. Because set up properly, Claude is not a chatbot. It is a researcher, a strategist, a project manager, a second brain, a software builder, and slowly part of how your business actually runs on a day-to-day basis. And then there's one project in particular that I would build for every single business owner watching this right now immediately straight away. I'll show you exactly what goes on with that later on. So anyway, let's start, right, where every real good system starts. Not with the fancy stuff, like the stuff that's going to blow your head off. I'm talking about the boring foundations, because boring scales, right? And one thing that we build this, right, is so important because we need to get this right, otherwise everything's pretty much off from the onset. So I put out a new AI setup for business owners every single week, like proper memory, proper projects, connectors, step-by-step tutorials, different tools that you can use. So if you want to subscribe to the channel, the button's right there, and hopefully I'll see you every single week. But right, anyway. Foundations. So imagine hiring someone brilliant. Monday, you explain your whole business. Tuesday, they've forgotten. Wednesday, they've gone again. Thursday, you're explaining it all over again. And you lose your fucking mind. I know what it's like. That's how most people are using AI. Every chat starts from zero. Who you are, what you sell, how you write, who your customers are. Claude gives you a way basically a way out of that, and it's called memory, right? And it's the first thing that I would heavily focus on setting up. So if you're moving over from another AI tool, Claude can basically import what that tool has already known and basically has about you. So you're not rebuilding from scratch. So for example, watch this to start. In the settings, there's an import option on ChatGPT and most settings, for example. So bring your history across and then tell Claude to save the important bits to your memory. And even if you are brand new, like take 10 minutes to teach Claude your world, like literally the basics. Who do you help? What you sell? How you talk? The words that you never use, the customers you actually enjoy working with. And think of it as a onboarding, basically a new hire and a new actual person, because it is, but better onboarding with better conversations afterwards, right? Most of the time. Great AI isn't built on better prompts at all. It's built on better context. Context is the most important thing that you need to take into account. Now, here's something that almost nobody actually gets set up right. Claude doesn't have one brain, right? It has three, and picking the right one is like picking the right person for the job. So you wouldn't ask your accountant to design your logo. So the rule is, right, and screenshot this one, Haiku is the fastest, cheapest one, right? Use it for high volume tidy ups, quick summaries, sorting, reformatting, and the boring stuff at scale. Sonnet, right, is your basically everyday default. And this is a really, really cool model that I still use all the time. So you've got emails, content planning, client replies, and it's the one that basically I spend a lot of the time, most of the time, but mostly in Opus 4.8 now. But that's just because I'm happy to spend more on tokens. You might not be in a position to spend as much on tokens as me, so Sonnet probably would be better. But Opus is the heavyweight, right? So this is the strategist, the analysis, the hard decisions, spotting patterns in messy data, and the stuff that actually matters. So the mistakes that beginners make is they are reaching for the most powerful one for everything straight away. And again, it's like hiring a Formula One engine to change the batteries in your TV remote. Like, it's pointless. Like, you do not need to have maximum horsepower to reformat a list. So the skill isn't knowing which model is best. It is knowing which one fits the job in front of you. So stay with me on this one, because in a few minutes, I'll show you how to get Claude from building basically working tools for you, but not just actually just writing words, but like building full-blown systems as well. And that's the part that people almost like aren't sure about, right? And it's this feature that completely changed how I used Claude 2 years ago. It changed my entire agency. Actually, no, it removed my entire agency. right? And that is projects, right? Basic level projects. This is where people go from trying basically AI to actually building with it at the same time, in all fairness. Most people run one giant never-ending chat. It's absolutely a waste of time and it's pointless. So marketing, client work, emails, holiday plans, websites, all in the same thread, right? And it turns into a basically digital spaghetti. And they wonder why Claude always seems confused and it's never giving them the right output. Setting up the right type of project with the right type of instruction and knowledge is going to fix that straight away. So think of them as basically separate specialists, and each of their own has their own job, their own knowledge, and their own instructions. So I've got one for YouTube, I've got one for client delivery, I've got one for operations, I've got one for marketing, right? So say, for example, I'm on YouTube. That project already holds my old scripts, my content frameworks, my audience, my research, my title, my brand voice, everything. So every single chat starts with context, not a blank page. So to build one, you hit the projects, you create it, you name it, you then drag in your documents into the knowledge section, and that's basically it as a starting point. And then you can literally go into the chat and say, this is how I'm wanting to use this project. Can you give me an instruction to insert into it? So it's as simple as that. And it already knows. So project one, right, again, as I promised here, that is it. Simple. Like, build it today before anything, right? And call it the business brain. So get everything that you've got, literally every piece of IP that you have, you currently don't have, you've got in background, everything, and put it all into one single project and call it business brain. And then basically create an instruction that will basically run and assess that. And then basically into your business brain, I want you to put everything as a starting point, stack it, because then after that, that's when you can start asking to create a little bit more specific projects after that. So inside of this business brain, business brain, I want you to be putting in your service, your pricing, your FAQs, your ideal customer, your values, your case studies, your brand, your voice, your offers, your common objections, your sales process, every part of it, right? And the starter block that I would paste in from day one, right, is to basically, so pause and screenshot this because I'll overlay it. It's the exact block that I would use. And it would be, here's who we help, here's what we sell, here's how we talk, here's the words that we never use. It's as simple as that. That's a foundation for an instruction, but also knowledge as well. So fill in those four properly, and Claude stops sounding like a generic person and starts also sounding like you. And I've pinned the full business brain template in the description as well for free. So if you want that, just drop your details in. So every document you add makes basically this employee much smarter. So it'll compound over time. Every time you use a chat, it compounds over time. So you don't need to stop basically explaining yourself every single morning, because the answers will just get better and better and better because of the compounded intelligence inside it. Now, Claude understands your company almost as well as you do once you've given it enough information. So up to now, Claude's been waiting for you to bring it things, right? Now it gets to a point where the work actually lives, right? And this is where you can actually think about, well, instead of having to re-upload all the time, I'd like to be in a position where I can just automatically connect to it. So this is where you've got something called connectors, right? So your business knowledge isn't just inside of Claude, right? You've got IP, but it's in your inbox, it's in your calendar, it's in your Google Drive, it's in your Slack. So if you connect those, Claude works with the information where it already sits. So instead of copy and pasting into a chat all of the time, right, what the path that you should use and should start off with would be go into settings, go into connectors, right, and then switch on your Gmail, your Google Calendar, and every tool that you've got. So literally get every list of everything that you do externally and see how you can connect every single one of them via a connector and an MCP. Authorize them at once, right, and then you're done. It's as simple as that. This job takes seconds, and you're now connected to all the tools that you've got externally. So now Monday morning, instead of 20 minutes in your inbox, you ask, well, what actually matters today based on what I've got in my to-do list or on my emails? Claude will read your emails, it will pull out the information threads, it will show what you need to reply, and it will also flag anything that's urgent as well. Like, that's not writing, that's not an output, that's direct delegation, right? So for example, before your weekly planning, let you ask Claude to look at your calendar and tell you what you're actually spending the most amount of time on this week, and also how you can set better priorities going into next quarter. Now, it's not managing your diary, right? It's coaching your decisions. So once you've got it connected to Google Drive, every single proposal, transcript, every client note becomes searchable inside of the app. So there's no more digging through folders for something that you saved 6 months ago. You just ask it and Claude will find it, extract it, use it, and turn it into whatever you want it to be. And this is a moment that Claude stops being another browser tab and actually starts to join the company. Most people still think that Claude is just basically a clever writer, and that's it. That couldn't be any further from the truth. Yeah, emails, blogs, summaries, right? Brilliant, but that's scratching the surface. Claude can build working interactive tools right inside of the chat, and they're called artifacts, right? So they're not documents, they're tools that you click around in. So for example, if you watch this, a client says that they can't track their sales pipeline. Instead of spending 2 hours in a spreadsheet, I'd type this: build me a sales call tracker that has editable columns for client names, deal value, stage, expected close, and then also the date and account manager. Add a dashboard showing the total pipeline value and conversion rate. Pause and screenshot that, right? Because it's important. It's a prompt that I use. And a few seconds later, there it is. It's done. A live tracker on screen that someone can actually use. Like, not read, just use directly in your business. And that's a completely different experience. And artifacts are massively underrated. They're not replacing software. They let you prototype an idea before you spend time and money building it properly. So the habit that I've built is when I basically don't fully get something, I stop asking Claude to explain it, and I just turn around and say, can you show it me? So a paragraph might make sense, right? A diagram makes something really obvious and easy. So for example, mapping out your client journey. Instead of 6 paragraphs, ask, visualize the first complete customer, and then basically the first inquiry to a long-term client. How do I take someone from no idea who I am to an incredible result, testimonial results, all of it? A to B, full customer journey. Right, so now you've got something that you can inspect, you can click through, you can improve, and also you can hand it to your team and say, this is what I want our offer to become. And then you can go back into AI and say, build me every single thing that I need for it as well. So it's the exact same process for a sales funnel, for client onboarding, for organizational charts, for content calendars, like whole campaigns. The biggest edge from AI isn't more information. It's understanding information faster, and faster understanding means faster decisions. So stay with me, because we're 2 steps away from a part that I hinted about right at the start, right? And this piece, right, it saves them most time, and almost nobody has it set up. And it's a mistake that I see constantly. People are spending hours collecting information before they start thinking, right? I want you to flip it. Let Claude collect it first, then you focus on the decisions afterwards. So if you're preparing for a client meeting, normally you'd have 5 websites, PDFs, a pile of notes, last month's transcripts, and a competitor's site or whatever opened up. Then 20 minutes gone, you're still gathering that information. Instead, feed the lot into Claude and ask, summarize all the key themes and everything that I am needed for here, right? So where are the opportunities? What patterns am I missing? If you were consulting this business, what would you prioritize? Now you start with the insight, not information. And that's the edge. It's not knowing more, it's understanding more. Now, the feature that basically people are scared of when they try it, right, is something called Claude Code. And I'm going to 100% do some easy videos on how to do this and set this up, especially for Claude terminal coding as well. The name makes it sound like it's only developers, right? And if you've got to have coding skills to be able to use it. And that's such a massive misconception basically going around. Claude Code lets you build software by describing what you want in plain English. And it's called vibe coding, right? So it doesn't require coding skills. It just requires vibe coding, which is basically directing what you want and describing what you want. So the first thing that I'd build, right, and type this in, right, is build me an internal dashboard that shows this month's inquiries, active prospects, and also outstanding invoices. And then pause and screenshot that one too as well, right? That single prompt gets you a working dashboard developer. Don't get me wrong, there's a hell of a lot more that's needed than just that. Don't get me wrong, right? But it's a good start point. Or create a simple web page where my team can log customers' feedback so I can sort it into categories automatically. Right? You don't need to know how code works. You just need to know what problem is that you're actually wanting to solve. If you know the problem and can describe the problem, then the solution to it, you're onto a winner, right? And the shift happening right now, and the people who are basically building useful tools won't be the people who are the best programmers. They'll be the ones who understand a business problem well enough to be able to describe it clearly. And that is the piece that I basically promised you at the start. And it's the one that saves the most amount of the time, and it's the one, again, that nobody has set up. And most of my day, right, was never about hard decisions. It was about tiny jobs. It was about checking emails, moving information, updating sheets, chasing follow-ups, finding documents. Like, none of it is difficult. It's just really repetitive. And repetitive exactly where Claude earns its keep in every way, shape, and form. And with Claude scheduled tasks, right, within the co-work space, you can set basically things to work on a timer in the background. Once you've switched on the settings, you're set to go. So the step that I would take, and again, screenshot this one, is say every single Monday at 7 a.m., review my inbox, inbox, highlight urgent emails, summarize what's changed over the weekend, and have my top 3 priorities ready for me before I even sit down to work every Monday. And that one briefing, right, hands me back a real chunk every single Monday before I've even opened my inbox, right? Now Monday starts with clarity instead of chaos. This is where AI quietly buys your time back. It's not about replacing you, right? It's about basically looking at all the repetitive tasks that are never needed basically your attention in the first place or warranted it, and getting rid of it all. So one habit separates casual users from operators. Operators hate repeating themselves. If you've written the same prompt for the 5th, 10th, 20th time, then stop. Oh my God, right? Turn it into a repeatable process, right? In Claude, that's basically skills. So a skills package, right, is basically a task once it runs in the same way every single time. So you can run it and you can install it, and you can even have it public and the community basically whatever, but you just describe the skill that you are wanting. So for example, it will be, there's a skill document, right? And then that one will basically turn a finished copy dump into a branded PDF or a slide deck. So all you need to do is write the actual brief once, and it will handle the formatting exactly the same every single time because you've built a skill for it to be able to do that. So what I want you to do is I want you to think about your week, right? Proposals, follow-ups, content reviews, meeting summaries, sales emails, onboarding, all of it, right? If you do it more than once, it shouldn't live in your head, right? It should live in your system, and it should live specifically in Claude. Like, systems do not forget. Systems do not get tired. Systems do not have bad Mondays. So stop asking how Claude can help you today, and ask what you can teach Claude once you never had time to think about, or what you don't even enjoy doing. So you don't ever even have to think about it ever again. Like, that's operator level building, and that's where scale starts. So can I tell you the biggest mistake that I see with Claude, right? Because people get so obsessed with features, right? Memory, projects, artifacts, code, connectors, like, they're all brilliant, 100%. But none of them matter if you never change how you think. Claude is not valuable because it can write. It's valuable because it removes friction. Every feature today has one job: take out unnecessary work, build predictability, build intelligence, and cut decision fatigue. Kill repetition, let you move faster with more confidence, right? The business, without question, the businesses who are getting the biggest return on investment aren't focusing on features, right? They're focusing on using a few things consistently, right? And that's a completely different mindset. So the workflow that I would run from day one would be every morning, open Claude before your inbox. Ask, what changed since yesterday? What deserves my attention? What should I ignore? And then work inside of your projects, not random chats, because that's where your business knowledge already lives, and you'll be keeping connections into their MCPs and also updating new information as well. And then throughout the day, use Claude to think before you act. So challenge ideas, prep meetings, review proposals, build workflows. And anytime that you catch yourself basically doing something for a second time, stop and turn around and go, actually, wait, can Claude do this for me now? That's not just using AI anymore, it's using it more intentionally. And the businesses that win with AI won't have the smartest founders or the biggest budgets, I'm telling you that for sure. They'll be basically the people who are removing friction faster than anyone else is doing it, building compounded intelligence, and just stopping all the guesswork to scale in the company. So don't leave this thinking like, I have to master all of these different 9 steps. Like, you don't at all. Just pick one project, right? Start with the business brain, connect one tool, create one artifact, save yourself 1 hour this week, because 1 hour will turn into 10, and 10 becomes 100. And then one day you'll look back and realize Claude doesn't just change how you use AI, it changed how you can run your entire business, right? So what I would do next would be to, 1, subscribe, because next week I'm going to be talking about a real business scenario and writing the whole thing up live with a business brain, connecting your inbox, connecting a calendar, like all of it. It's going to be an unreal episode, so please subscribe. But from start to finish, like, nothing is going to be hidden, right? And that's what you need to do. Offload everything. So subscribe, and it's going to come straight to you, and I'm going to keep them coming. But for the time being right now, if you've watched this and you're thinking, this sounds brilliant, but you generally haven't got the hours to sit and build every single project, wire up every single connector, and set up every automation yourself, then that is literally what I provide within my company, Titanium AI. And also I can hand you my central operating system, Titan Code OS, which is a system that will be trained completely and utterly on your business, and also taps into my intelligence that I've spent over £200,000 on. right? So we take on every single thing that you've got on your plate, not only to insert it into the central operating system to completely run your company, remove guesswork altogether, and add a level of intelligence that you've not had before, but we can also give you the exact setup structures for over 60 different co-work and project setups with done for you instructions and knowledge that you need. Now, it is effortless. If you can copy and paste and read, you are set to go. And if you want to find out more about how you can build a central operating system, which is again wired into how your business actually works, then if you go to the description, there's a call link on there, a video talking about what we do. There's also some free trainings as well. And I would love for you to drop an application in, and I hope to see you on the other side at some point.